Well, welcome at Classical Interviews. We are very glad to have you here again. It's very important for the musical community to meet you and to understand all the things that are important into a musical career. So that's why we are here today to talk about younger generation of musicians that perhaps they will watch this interview. And they are wondering what to do with their lives after their studies ends. They finish music university, and it's important for them to understand that they will have to work harder after they finish the music universities.
Yeah, so actually it's a very important question because today it's very curious that we spent years and years learning how to play an instrument or how to conduct, but we don't spend any single minute in how to develop a career. So it happens, as you say, that there are many wonderful musicians that they end their studies and they are completely lost. They don't know what to do. What is what I will call the next step? What can I do once I finish my studies? And that's something which is very important. I think now they are trying to help a little bit, and there are some conservatories, especially in England and United States, where they are developing classes, that they can teach you also how to develop the career. And the main point from my perspective is that you need to understand that you are your main asset to develop your own career. No one is going to do it for you. There is not going to come someone who is going to discover you like sweeping the stairs of an opera house. I think it's all in your hands, and I think that's something that you need to understand, and the sooner and the faster you understand, the better, because the problem today is that there are so many talented musicians that the market is getting more complicated. If you think 50 years ago, a great pianist will just stand by himself because there were no other competitions. A great pianist will be the only one who will be there. But today, I mean, we have fantastic teachers, we have a lot of talent, we have learned a lot. So now there is wonderful players all around the world. So but the small details are the ones that they mark the difference between the person who makes a successful career to the player that it's not succeeding, even if it's a fantastic musician. Mm-hmm.
But here in Romania, this idea of management is just a very young idea, because usually in the music universities, the students doesn't study these kind of things. So we are talking now. It's a very tough answer from you, because I know many musicians, many young musicians, that are wondering what's going to happen with their careers, and they don't have all these tools to develop themselves. So what do? They give a phone call to some, impresario, or they're trying to seek new contacts. How do they do this? Because, as you said, the competitions are very important, because you are not going now to the competition just to win, because in a competition you are going to be seen by many people, and during competitions there are many people there, from managers to impresarios and so on. But what do? You're at home, you're very young, and you consider yourself very talented. Your teacher told you you're very talented, but what do you do?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to tell you that if there is a way to succeed, and there is a way, you have to find it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think there is not a formula that it works for everyone. I think everyone needs to find a formula. The problem is, first of all, to have the ambition, to want to have a career, and to invest in your own career. And this is one of the main points that I will tell the young people. To develop a career, it requires at least the same amount of time that you devote to studying an instrument. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the problem is that they think that, okay, I put all my energies in being a complete master of the instrument, and I just put 0% or let's say 2% of my time and my energies in developing my career. So what happens? That you're a fantastic musician and no one knows. So in the end, you need to find balance, and you need to understand that develop a career is a full job, full-time job. So you need to start to work from the very beginning in putting, like the pieces. There is not like a single formula for everyone, because it depends on many things. You are telling, for example, the question, the Romanian question. One of the problems if we can call it a problem, which is a similar problem that we had in Spain, is that we are not close to the main markets. We are not in London where everything happens. We are not in Paris. We are not in Berlin. So. But I mean, if you see, there has been a lot of successful Spanish musicians in the last years. So let's say that there is a way. Sometimes it's not easier. And what I will suggest, first of all, besides devoting, like a decent amount of time, is to do as much networking as you can. We don't love what we don't know. So the big problem is that sometimes the people, they don't give you a concert because simply they don't know you. So what is the only way, for them to know you? It's networking. It's like spending lots of hours to talk to the people, to make yourself known. It doesn't need to be, of course, now with social media, everything is easier. You have YouTube, you have videos, you have a lot of platforms. But it's not only about it's not about the tools, it's how to use them and how to, because if you just only put your videos in YouTube waiting that everyone will go for that, you are going to fail, because the most important thing is, to be on top of everywhere, and of course, if you're in Romania, you can always complain to be, like in a side of Europe. We are on the other side, so we are brothers in that sense, but you can spend all your life complaining for where you were born. Or you can just, start to move yourself. And today it's not as complicated. In the past it was difficult, to go to London, but now it's not that complicated. You have also Zoom. You can make Zoom meetings. There is now a lot of tools for exchange knowledge, exchange many things. This is one thing. The other thing, which from my perspective is very important, is to understand what it makes you unique. Because as we were saying, there's a lot of players, there is a lot of competitors. So you need to understand what it makes you different from the rest of them. It's not, I'm better. Okay, that's very easy to say, prove it, but it's not only about that. It's what it makes you. Sometimes it can be the repertoire. Sometimes it could be your approach to music. Sometimes it can be, the concept of programs that you are doing that is very unique. Sometimes it can be, for example, in a Romanian performance, it can be, I become a Romanian expert. For example, I admire very much Gabriel Veveselea, the Romanian conductor, for all his work he has been doing of recovering some of the UNESCO scores, but not only that, but also, some other scores, so that's something which it makes him unique, just to put an example. I think that's very important, to understand what it makes. The other thing that I think is also very important is also to tell stories. I think today, unfortunately, that was not necessary in the past, because I think music could stand by itself. And I don't mean that music, it cannot stand by itself. In an ideal world, you don't need to do anything but music. But today, I think a wide audience, they are aiming for stories. I think if I will define this era in which we are living, I think is the era of fiction. I think we are obsessed about fiction. We need to listen to stories. We need to listen about things, so one of an important feature of artists is, to be able to tell their story, and to connect with the audience. I'm going to tell you two stupid examples. They're stupid, but they are not. I remember Jean-Yves Thibaudet, the French pianist. He became very famous because he went on a stage with red socks. Which it was really very and actually when they asked him many years later why he thought of this, he said that he just put it by accident, but then he saw that everyone was keen on that, and then it became his kind of a trait, his mark, his label. It also happened with Hélène Grimaud. She was telling this story that she was living in Canada surrounded by wolves, so it became a story. Yes. And it doesn't matter, it doesn't even need to be connected, but in the end we are aiming to hear stories. So in a sense, to have a story around, something that you can tell the people, I think it's something that it helps, because in the end we need to, the audience, the public, they love to know a little bit, or to understand the person who is behind the music as well.
Yeah, it's very important what you say, because but usually for young musicians, for them it's very tough to talk, to speak, because they are with their instrument, they are very interiorized. It's something that they are doing inside, and not going out and speaking all the time. And the public speaking, this kind of thing is very difficult for them. But it's good that you say that, because this might change their kind of seeing the world. Because, of course, music asks for all from every musician. You have, if you are a musician and you choose this career, you have to give it all, because music, this is what music means.
Of course, and
in the end,
we
yes.
shouldn't forget that this is a performing arts.
Yes.
And you know, I think performing, it's about art, but it's also about performance. And a performance, it means to give a part of yourself to the audience. Some people, they just simply don't succeed because they are very good at arts but not at performing. You know, so I think it's you need to understand that it's also a combination of both.
Yeah.
You need to go on stage, and once you are on stage, you are, you know, like you become an object. And I know that's hard. You just think about that. You're becoming an object. The people, they are not thinking of yourself as a being, but just like as something who is just making a statement, and that's terrible in an ontological way.
Yes,
so that's
and
why
who brings pleasure to the public.
Yeah. It is, and also every time, you know, you need to make a lot of decisions, and that's also hard to do on a stage. But definitely, if you are not keen to play in public, actually, I must say, I was a pianist. I studied piano, but I thought I never saw myself playing in front of other people. So that's why I decided simply that it was not my career.
And how did you do it? Because it's very important also, this kind of a story. You end your music university, and as you said, you just realized that you're not the man for the stage. And what do you do then? How do you change your career? How do you think of a plan B? Did you have a plan B before?
Well, I mean, it depends. Of course, you need to be very honest with yourself, because especially if you are, if you try to play in Champions League, I think you need definitely to have like a absolutely top level, because otherwise, I mean, it can happen that you just you are frustrated the rest of your life. So you need to be very honest with yourself. The great thing, for example, just appealing to my example, is that I knew I was not good enough, you know, so I knew that I will never make a career. So for me, it was easy to make a decision. I think it's more complicated for these fantastic, very talented people, that they are wonderful, they have a fantastic level, but that's not even enough to play in Champions League. And sometimes they need to play, you know, like in second or third division, which is sometimes a little bit frustrating, because they have a great talent. And you know one thing, there are people that they have probably the same level, but they have, you know, like some added value, something which it makes unique, something which it makes different, and they are playing in Champions League. So let's say that's what I want to tell is, what I would like to convey is a positive message, is that I always believe that there is a way for everyone to find its way. Sometimes it's difficult because it's full of obstacles, and you need to work very hard. But I tend to think that always with the talent and with the work, everything makes its way.
Okay, and let's say that I'm a musician, and I've just got to an agency, and they said, okay, we will represent you. So what does an agency do for that musician? I'm just sitting on the couch watching TV, or maybe studying other things, and waiting for the phone to ring, and they are just saying, you are going there on January, on February you are going to have a concert in London perhaps. What does an agency do for a young artist?
Yeah, well, first of all, you have spoken about something which is very the typical mistake of a first agency artist. The artist is and always will be the best agent for themselves, always. No matter if you are working with the best agent in the world. I think the agents, we are a little bit like condiments. We just potentiate the flavor, but there needs to be a flavor, because if the artist is just sitting down and doing nothing, probably things will happen, but they will go in a small way. I think the artist needs to work, because you know, in a sense, I think artists, they are sexy, agents, we are not. You know, and in a sense, you know, everyone loves the artist. You know, I think the artist is someone who is unique. Agents, we are not. I mean, we are people. We are like normal people that we are just trying to get the best of the talent of an artist and just try to combine. You know, we are transmitters of some talent to people that they are looking that talent. So our job, it doesn't require, I mean, it requires a kind of talent, but it's not as sexy as the talent of the artist. Everyone wants to talk with the artist. I won't say that no one wants to speak with the agent, but let's say that they prefer the artist, you know, someone who creates art. It's someone who is, in a sense, is closer to gods. Whereas we are just, you know, like hardworking people, you know. So in that sense, if the artist just sit down and do nothing, probably he will do something, and especially if he has a very good agent. But you know, you need even to be in close communication with your agent and be in touch and discuss with him, create the strategies. You know, I think the work is always a work in progress, and it's a work of two. I always compare the relationship between agent and artist. I always compare with human relationship. So I think it's like a couple. You need a lot of communication. You need a lot. You need a lot of fightings. You need a lot of. But if someone is doing the work and the other is sitting down, or the other way around, sometimes there are some artists that they already have an ongoing career, and the agent is sitting down doing nothing and just trying to get commissions. I think that then in the end that relationship is not going to work. It needs to be, you know, like a question of both people working together for the same purpose. So I think it's very important when you are starting that you will never sit down. If you decide to pursue this career, I think you should expect that you are not going to rest anymore. Yeah. I always remember when I used to work with Vladimir Ashkenazi, and when he decided to retire very wisely, he told me, "Look, Federico, I've been working very hard all my life in my career, and now I have decided that it's the time, you know, to dedicate the time to my family and to myself. So I'm going to cut all, you know, like things with music, and I'm going to dedicate." So he's now enjoying his retirement, you know, like, and I think that's wonderful because he has worked very hard. But anyone who wants to make a career needs to be prepared to work very hard, especially if he wants to play in Champions League. I mean, nothing is coming for free.
Yeah, and to sacrifice their family life. This is very unique in a musician's career.
But you know, I think definitely more and more the musicians, they are trying to find a way to work, to have a family and to work at the same time. And many of them, they are managing. Of course, you need to have a consolidated career. If you are young, it's very difficult because you need to be ready to make more sacrifices, because if they call you, you have to play tomorrow with Berlin Philharmonic, you are going to stop everything and rush to the airport to get the first flight. But sometimes if you have already a consolidated career, you have a little bit more of flexibility to dedicate. So now there are many players, and especially some female players, that they are actually having a career and also taking good care of their family. Yeah, I wanted to emphasize this because the young musicians have to understand that these kind of sacrifices must be made, but there's also a way. All the time is also a way. They must find it and to build a proper life for themselves. Yeah, it is. And I think the only way and the best way is just, you know, I think it's by starting to walk. And the different milestones of your path, they are the connections you are making. I will always say that you need at least to be ambitious and try to make at least one new connection every day when you are starting. You know, to try to call someone, to write an email to someone new, to even to learn about who is the person who can give me a concert in this city, what is his telephone, what are the artists he's normally inviting. You know, you need to be very wise and to understand very much how it works, and to try to find, you know, to understand what they are looking, and just to be very good also in telling your story. I always recommend to the young people to write down what will be their story. To write it down, because if you can write it down, is that you can tell it. Yeah, of course. And regarding the relationship between the musician and the agency, usually the young musicians think that the agency will make them great. But that's more important for them to understand that the greatness comes with their own work, because the agency doesn't do that. And usually, perhaps we are searching for a good agency that could represent us. And we are seeing there, we are promoting top artists and great artists. And I'm wondering what top artist means for that agency. What do you think? Yeah, well, first of all, I think always some people, they think that we have like a magic wand, and that we can just, create, from Cinderella, we can just create a princess out of nothing. And in a sense, I think we have a great experience, we have a lot of contacts, but the artists, they must think that in the last instance, it's the presenter, the one who makes the decision. We cannot tell someone who is organizing a concert to like someone just because we are just telling them to like. So in the end, it's very much about the artist. As I was saying before, we are this kind of condiments. What we are doing is just to put it on the best way, or try to, to potentiate the positive things, the positive aspects, what is going to be better for the presenter. What we can also, we understand or we know what kind of artist it's preferred in some countries, in some regions, for some presenters. So we can just we can maybe just throw the arrow in a more accurate way. But in the end, if there is not an appealing artist, we cannot make a career out of that. And sometimes it has happened, that there has been some kind of artist that in a sense it was promoted, I won't say without talent, because of course we are talking about great talent, but some artists that they were, let's say, very much promoted, and if there was nothing behind, then this will have a short life, because once you can tell someone, you have to trust me, please trust me, this is going to be fantastic. But if it's not going to be fantastic the next time, it's not going to trust you. So in the end, it's very important to understand that we cannot do much if we don't have, if we are not working together with the artist for the sake of, of his career. And I think it's very important for them to understand this.
Yeah. And in the end, how do you see the musical market now? Because we are living in this 21st century where everything is about speed and about how fast you are in promoting yourself on Facebook or maybe Instagram or things like this. It's not like 30 years ago, of course, but how do you see this industry now?
Well, definitely there is a lot of that, but I think this is really it's only probably, everything in the surface. Because in the end, I think there is in the core of the business, I think in the end we are aiming for the same things. We are looking for great artists. Of course, more and more it's becoming important also the box office, because sometimes presenters, they need to find a balance in order to ensure that people, they are going to attend to their concerts. So I think it's really very important also to look for some people that they can bring something that can appeal, and that's why it's so important also to have a story, to tell something that it can be conveyed to the audience. But I think definitely I think we are in a golden age in a sense of artists, because of I think the educational system, it brings wonderful artists, and I think, but it's also the fact that we have so many perfect artists, it makes also more difficult to find the real diamonds, in a sense, because it's really, there are so wonderful artists that I think probably the difference, it's now very subtle. It's just depending in very small nuances, So somehow it's more difficult for us to find the right, someone who has really something unique and different to say. It's more difficult for us to find it, and in the market, for people, it's also very difficult to find new things to say. But there is still, I think there are wonderful artists, a young generation of artists, that they are doing great things. So I think it's a very interesting market. I think also more and more. There are more people getting in the concert live. For example, there are so many countries where we didn't used to work in the past, and now they are also interested, in inviting foreign artists. So I think it's a very interesting market, very, very dynamic, very diverse. Of course, social media can be a little bit of, it could mean a little bit of noise. But I think in the end, once you take out this noise, it's a kind of white noise that it's in the background. But in the end, the market, it remains the same.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks to you.